Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at my newest custom, which is a completely original design for Shocker, the Spider-Man villain. My customer, he's a returning customer, he got, oh shoot, which ones were his? He had some of the original Ninja characters. I think I might have made one for someone else. But anyway, he told me he wanted an anime-styled Shocker, completely new design, so I said, well, I kind of like blue for him, let's use blue. And he was okay with that, so I used a lot of blue on this guy. And then I also said, if we're going with an original design, can we make him shoot electricity instead of vibration waves? Because I never really cared for that, and he was fine with that. So I made him an electrical Shocker, kind of like Electro, I know, but his name is Shocker, so it still fits, and I like it better. So we went with that, and I'll show you as we're going through this. He doesn't have to be electrical. These electricity things come off, so we're still covered if you want to make him a vibration shooting character, which is lame. So I used for this figure the base figure of Alternative Zero from the Figure Arts Kamen Rider line. We decided that the body pretty much had everything we wanted, so we basically repurposed the body as much as possible. I added a new shoulder pad onto that side, obviously a new head, and then a backpack, and I added the tubing to get to his gauntlet, and I modified the gauntlet thingy to look like it actually shoots stuff instead of just whatever it was before. I don't know what it was. Then I also modified the belt a little bit here and there. I trimmed up the joints, made the joints work a little bit better, and repainted it. So there he is. For the paint scheme, I didn't do any dry brushing or anything. I wanted it to have a real anime figure look, and most of those figures don't have dry brushing. Some of them have the airbrushed shading on them, but for a figure like this, kind of like the Alternative Zero, there's really not too much shading going on, so I wanted to stay in line with that. So all of the black parts, all of the black parts are just kind of like a matte black. All of this teal bluish color are a metallic blue, then the gold is just metallic gold, and the silver is metallic silver. Nothing shaded or anything like that. It's just all solid, and it works really well with this figure anyway because of all the sculpted detail. It really doesn't need to be shaded. I think it looks pretty good as is. And then for all of the grooves on the armor, for the arm piece and the shoulder piece and legs and everything like that, I painted that with a light blue and then a white line down the center, all the little dots as well, so it kind of looks like there's light coming out of the suit. I don't know if it's actually working on camera, but in person it does give that kind of effect, so that's what I was going for. The head is actually a Toy Biz Deadpool head that I reshaped the eye holes a little bit, and I added those metal pieces on there, and I think it works well. And he wanted this kind of hooded, cowled look for the character, so we did that, and it still maintains all of the articulation of the double ball peg. For these tubers back here, the tubes that connect his backpack to his arm, I made them removable so that we could interchange these electricity pieces however we wanted. These are just from the DCUC Flash. Those two just clip on. This is also from that Flash, but I modified it a little bit so that it could either fit back there, and we can just unplug the tuber to get this out. It's not really called a tuber, but that's what I'm going to call it. So we can just unplug that and then plug it back in. And I made it so that they can go in extra far if you want them to, or you can pull them out farther to give the arm better range of motion. That way they're not super long when you don't need them to be, and then you can make them longer if you need the better range of motion. So there's that. And then this, also that big one that I had on the back, you can also snap it in to the front where it looks like he shoots the electricity, and that snaps in down here. And then he has the electricity coming out of his gauntlet. So I made it a little bit more playable that way. It's better for posing. You don't have to only have the one option. These electricity pieces can snap on all over the place however you want to do it. Whichever way you like. They can go on there, go on the arm. They can go forward on the arm. Obviously it's just that flexible plastic, so it can go wherever you want. So you have some posing options. So you have some playability, some interchangeability with those arm pieces. So I want to go over the articulation really quickly just so you guys can see why we chose this base figure aside from the awesome sculpt work on it. The head is on a double ball peg. The neck on top of that, or underneath that I guess, is on a single ball peg. The shoulders have that ball peg in the torso that allow them to move, and then they have the ball hinge on top of that. Then there's a bicep swivel underneath the shoulder. It's really stiff, but it is there. Stiff is okay. We have a double jointed elbow. We have a wrist swivel that has this gauntlet type thing swivel around. I really liked that feature, but it was really stiff and kind of rubbed a lot, so I took that all apart and rebuilt it so that it didn't do any of that. We have the ball hinge for the wrist. Doesn't have the greatest range of motion, but you can get the hands around to where you want them to go. I really love the sculpt of the hands. They give you those little sculpted bits, so all I had to do was apply paint and we were good to go on this guy in most cases. The upper torso is a single ball peg. It comes down from the chest into the lower torso here, which also has a single ball peg going up from the bottom, so it's really a double joint. I reworked it a little bit up here, but it was still pretty limited. Sometimes there's only so much you can do based on how the figure is, so he doesn't have the best ab crunch, unfortunately, but it's not horrible. I mean, it is there, and you can lean back, and it does have all the swiveling you need. The belt is a separate piece, so it doesn't impede the articulation at all. The hips, the hips have a hinge on the side to bring the legs out to the side. They can't really do the splits due to the thigh armor, but you can see the leg goes out pretty far. Then we just have a swivel in the crotch here to bring the leg forward, and then there's a thigh rotation, thigh swivel right there. Double jointed knees, and then a ball hinge for the ankle, just like the wrists. So he's got really all the articulation you could want, and that's what my customer wanted. He wanted a lot of articulation. Anime style looking figure, so using a Kamen Rider character and then just repainting it and doing everything we wanted to gave us exactly what we needed. So that gave us the Shocker design. This is the way I like Shocker to look. Of course, I could make it 100 different ways too. I do like the traditional Shocker, but as Spider-Man said in the current game, your name is Shocker, and sure, that makes sense for shockwaves, but it kind of sounds like electricity, so I was happy to go with an electrical design. I mean, no, Spider-Man doesn't actually say all of that in the game, but whatever. Alright, real quick, I'll give you a height just in case you're not familiar. He stands about 5.5 inches tall. So there he is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.